Biden's first budget includes billions more for high-poverty schools, environmental programs and the CDC. In his first budget request to Congress, President Joe Biden is proposing spending billions more on Head Start programs, high-poverty schools and the Environmental Protection Agency and boosting civil rights initiatives, including police reform and the prosecution of hate crimes. The plan also includes the largest increase in the Centers for Disease Control's budget in nearly 20 years as Biden looks to continue combating the coronavirus pandemic. The Biden administration submitted a discretionary spending request Friday to Congress for the coming year that includes $769 billion for non-defense federal departments, marking a 16% increase for domestic priorities from the final year of President Donald Trump. Biden is requesting $753 billion for the Defense Department, a modest 1.7% increase, signaling a change in priorities from Trump, who embraced more significant increases in defense spending. Overall, Biden is requesting $1.52 trillion in discretionary spending, an 8.4% increase over the current year. It would return non-defense discretionary spending to 3.3% of the nation's gross domestic product, the historic average over the past 30 years. The discretionary request, known as the skinny budget, and prepared by the administration's Office of Management and Budget, outlines Biden's recommendations for the annual appropriations process in Congress and sheds light on his upcoming agenda. A full, more detailed budget is expected later this spring. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said the president inherited a legacy of chronic underinvestment in key areas and is reinvesting in the foundations of our strength. She called the budget proposal an indication of our priorities. Republican Senate leaders, led by Senator Mitch McConnell, R. Kentucky, slammed Biden's defense budget, arguing it sends a terrible signal not only to our adversaries in Beijing and Moscow, but also to our allies and partners. Areas that Biden is requesting major funding increases for include a record $36.5 billion for Title I grants for high-poverty schools, a $20 billion increase over the current year. $11.9 billion for the federal Head Start program that provides early childhood education for low-income families, a $1.2 billion bump over the current year. The program serves 95,000 fewer children today than a decade ago. $8.7 billion for the CDC, an increase of $1.6 billion, which would be the CDC's largest increase in nearly 20 years. The CDC budget this past year was 10% lower than a decade ago. An additional $14 billion across multiple federal agencies aimed at tackling climate change. That includes $1.8 billion for EPA programs to reduce greenhouse gases. Funds for EPA climate change science and technology is 27% lower today than 10 years ago.